other opportunity is like, they just like, if you perform as an artist, what if there is a beautiful artist again in an organization, you just either try to co-present with them or tend to give them an opportunity in your stage. Listen to them so that the performance becomes beautiful. Adding both the performance together, it's again an organization's vision, getting at a faster pace. So this is what the artist has to improve on as an opportunity. But threat, here I have quoted the threat as personal interest in transformation as the threat, because when you see the personal interest of an individual, at times this poses a threat for the individual in an organization. For the trait, they are also having up a transformation approach. For them, that's fruitful. But from an eyes of an empathetical person outside the organization, we don't seem that to be a fruitful one. Maybe their transformation approach would be seen as a threat for us. For artists, I would say, he would say like, I want honor. You would not always be honored. There are some cases where I may dishonor your work, and at times if that honor is missing, artists would be devastating for the organization, because they crave for the need, and they would not at least listen. They would tend to set their own vision, and then they will say, this is my vision, I don't care about the organization, and then they would move on, and they would tend to resign from your organization. When I say they, I'm not keeping that to Agile coaches specifically. I'm also selling like this as a different personality trait in an organization. If you are an artist, the need, like you crave for shine and recognition. You are very charismatic, and you would also think that I am the one who is there, who is highly creative in nature, and I love to get applauded. When I'm not going to reward it, like that's why we see like even in employee engagement in HR, you connect this very well. All humans are artists at certain time. When you're not being applauded, when you're not being honored or recognized for your work, you immediately tend to see, okay, if it is for 1 month, you'll say, okay, let me wait for next month. 2 months, 3 months, you'll wait for the appraisal at the longer run. If that's also a devastating effect for you, it triggers to be a devastating effect for you, then you would think, okay, this is not the right organization, and you will tend to move on. And that's the same way that suits for them as well. But their point in transformation approach is quite tight. They are rigid people. This is my opinion. I don't care about yours. If they tend to change that, artists are an amazing people in an organization. Most of the developers who tend to logically create things would stand in artist skill set, and their trait would be very highly essential for a team. You cannot work without developers in an organization. All Agile coaches and everybody are the ancillary roles. Developers are the ones who created, are the core roles in be it Scrum or whatever the framework that you follow. Again, I would say the artist would shine in an organization, but once and only if you applaud, you recognize, and you clap on each occasion whenever they did any amazing job. So there tend to be applause receivers. Let's move on. The next one is evangelist. When I say evangelist, I would just go with this slide because I'm just like giving up a hint where I can talk from. So each one in the slide is like based on the SWOT analysis, which is a research-based one. So when I say evangelist is like purely on the knowledge part, they are equally competent to artist. They were nowhere incompetent to artists, but the point that differs here is like they share a lot of knowledge. They don't keep that minus right. They tend to share it across and say that, okay, this is my point, and let's share the knowledge across, and they don't keep it as their opinion always. And again, they also have an example for everything, and they just try to passionately prove that. And the high energy keep them up as their strength, but in their weakness, they just tend to jump into solutions. So the solutions provider or the consultant mode is always risky, because solution providers, they tend to jump into solutions directly. They don't listen. They're bad listeners. When it comes to like any problem, you should listen, and the coaches should tend to listen to the whole problem, and then tend to make sure that there is a reflection from the person, and he can set options for the person so that the coachee can get the solution on his own, rather than you tend to jump into a solution and then give it directly. So evangelist, they have a recipe book with them. See, this is the recipe, this is the steps. Follow this, and your problems will be solved. And this technique will not work across the globe. Your recipe might not, I would say a good proverb, the taste of one is poison of other. I would say this is tasty recipe, but you would feel that it is a poison for you. And in the same way, they are like, at least if they tend to have a quite insensitivity towards others. As soon as you jump into solution, right, you don't care about their emotional connect. You don't care about their empathy connect. Or you don't sympathize others as well for their problem. They might be crying. You would say, don't cry. This is a solution where you can solve. So at that time, it's totally insensitive to handle a problem. So jumping into solution will never help always. And being an evangelist, the only problem is I have a recipe book. And that's the recipe book which I'm holding on. Again, for them, the opportunity is you should always like ask more questions as an evangelist and tend to understand what is the problem and then show your recipe book whether it fits. For them, the personal interest is like they want to contribute, and they are not like artists. They make sure that there is 1% contribution from them in the vision of the organization. If you make them inclusive, they will be part of your organization, and that inclusiveness will not be always possible. At times, if I work as a team, I might have to drop them for certain reasons, or I might have to form teams. They might not be a part of that team, and that would trigger a grievance which would aggravate, and they might tend, okay, my contribution is not there in the organization, I should think of other option. So that's the way where evangelists think on. Good example is like a developer not part of any of the module. I just refrain from like including him in a module. He thinks that like, okay, am I not capable enough? Why is that I've been like kept out? That's the thought of evangelist, and that's where is the major threat. Evangelist has that threat in their organization, as in when they think that, okay, am I incapable? Why are they not taking me in? And that's their self-respect, which they think of. So their recipe book, if not being used properly, or if we are not interested to use their recipe book, they get a problem, and that's their major threat. For them, like if they have avoided the recipe book and then keep that out, and then think of the problem and then ask for the solution from the individual, and then give them options and then like talk to them, probe for more questions, tend to make the coachee think of a solution by their own, then they would just reflect a coach stance. For me, evangelist is like someone who is like writing up everything. I would give a good example, it's like SAFE program consultants. They have SAFE big picture, they know how to sell SAFE, and they say, come on, like, okay, this is SAFE framework. I have a recipe book, it fits all organizations. Not at all. There are certain organizations where SAFE would not fit. Again, if I have done my certification on Scrum at Scale. Hey, I'm a Scrum at Scale practitioner, let's use this. It might work, but what if it fails? So the evangelist would tend to give this recipe book, which might not work. And for them, their characteristics is like highly motivated by their work, and they are like spreading knowledge always. Their characteristics is like you just give any book, they will finish off and tell you what is the gist of the book, and tend to share that gist for everybody. For them, the need is same like artists, but you might need to make them feel that they are necessary and useful for the organization. They don't need applause, or they don't need credit or recognition, but they should feel a sense that they are needed and they are not avoided in the team. Let's move on. Third one is Viking. How many of you confront your organization's HR policy? When I say confront, hey, this is not proper, this is not employee friendly. One, superb. Vikings are hard to find. I'm saying, like, you might be Viking in your organization, you might be the soul, but you will not accept, because Viking had a tough skin. But it will be one or two who will have the guts and say, I'm a Viking. Because Viking are the one, they just have a very strong vision and they stick to it. Just like artists, but Viking never even listened to your thought or quote. They would say, this is my vision. I don't even want to listen to you. This is my vision. Come on, if you want to come up with it, and you can be my follower. But if you're having up a vision, I'm least bothered to hear. That's Viking. And for them, the characteristics of Viking is like, though they have a tough skin, the problem is like their characteristics may be a problem for him, but they are a very good character because they know to confront the organization constructively. They would say this is where the root cause of the problem in an organization. When I say root cause, I can say that like, okay, this transformation failed because you have XXX points in your checklist which you need to course correct. Take it and then do that and come back. So that's the way how Viking work, pretty straightforward. They tend to know if this is something, this is a white crow, I would call that it's a white crow. And I will not say black for my manager. So it's like, this is the sweet spot and this is the sore spot, you need to correct this. The sweet spot is okay for me, just work on this sore spot. He identifies that very clearly. So organizations, entities, when I say entities, anyone in the organization don't like them because we are pretty straightforward, and then they said straight in the face, and then they said hit the nail on the head, say that this is wrong, correct it. And again, when you say that there is other ones, like they are more power centric people. If you don't give them power, they will not operate. They will tend to just move away from your organization. They are craving of power, and they also have striving for results. If you are result oriented people, you will be friendly with Viking, or you will have always conflict with this individual. There will be one individual who would always lead, be it your leader or technical leader or whomever it is. You will have always problem with that person because he is result oriented. He would look on the numbers. If the numbers doesn't satisfy him at any point in time, he would get irritated. So Viking are highly power centric and keen on numbers. So they need result. If you provide result, you will be on top, and especially Vikings, if they are a manager for you, line manager for you, and if you provide result, you will be in top of the management very soon, because they love people who give results, and they always have a set of people who give them the better outcomes. Again, for them, they are purely result oriented. Only problem is they are perfectionist. You got to take a U-turn. If it's a no U-turn, you should not. And that's the perfectionist mindset which they have. Again, they also think that like they are the whole soul in charge of everything. They don't mind to be criticized. They would say the problem is this. You criticize me at any point. You laugh at me, you criticize me, you say that like I'm a fool. They don't mind. They say that this is the problem, root cause of the problem, correct it. And they will fight for it till the end if it is till then it's corrected. And again, for weaknesses, I would say they should at least like reduce being very hard and blunt to people. When I say blunt, this is wrong and you are wrong. When I say someone like you're wrong, they'll say like look at the other 4 fingers that is pointing out to you. You're wrong, and you can say like this is also pointing. So 4 fingers are at you. You first think whether yourself that you're wrong, correct it, and then like come and say me. So it's like blunt statement, but they need to correct that as well. And the choice of words that they use in terms of being sweet to the organization and then tell what is wrong, that tends to at least play a good role for Viking, being a better one in the organization. When I say better, Vikings are the one who would be very few in number. You might see one or two, but they will lead. They will say this is what it is. You might feel some people in your organization where you would say they are the one who you would reach always in terms of any problem to follow up with your HR or be it anybody in the organization. They would say, hey, this is the process. If we do this, this would get fixed. So more of a recipe book, but this guy would get it solved. So it's evangelists also have a trait of Viking, but evangelists are process oriented and sweet. They tend to share knowledge, but Viking, it's like closed ears. They share knowledge, but they tend never mind to listen. Again, for these people, like they are not followers at all. They tend to have followers, but they are never followers of anybody. They tend to be a leader, the inspirational leader. They tend to make followers, but they never follow anybody. For them, like they have difficulties to like adjust with anybody in the team. If you see, most of the Vikings are individual contributors. They will not work with team. They would say, I can do this, but they will never utter that we can do this. Right? So for them, it's like mostly the people on top who are more power centric and who tend to give results, they would be a Viking. Because they manage team, they hardly listen, but they tend to at least derive the results from you by being power centric post. That's what we claim. Most of the leaders, they fit very well in Viking. But I'm not saying all leaders don't listen. That's not my statement. But still, they tend to listen at times, but they are very rigid. You need to explain each and everything to get them convinced. So if you see most of your company's leaders, right, they will be more sure on the numbers. If you think you want to just go and talk to them, they'll be more keen on numbers. If you make them convinced, you need to be giving examples and then say, okay, this is what the benefit we get, so we do this. If you are able to convince them at certain point in time, they would accept your queries. Those are the Viking characters. And for them, the opportunity is like, it's been like very soft to them, to others, so that others can also come along with you in the transformation journey of the whole organization. Then Viking will be most welcomed. Else, for them, the opportunity is very less. And again, there will be diversity in whole team. There will be someone who don't like to be talked in public, or they don't like gossips. There are certain members who don't like to talk at all. There are some people who are highly talkative like me in a team. So you need to adjust and sense like respect diversity in a team. Understand that, okay, there are people who can talk. You know when to talk and where to talk. And these kind of people, like if they know that art, then that will not pose any, I would say, threat, or that not turn into a weakness for them. And again, for them together, like they are very stronger. As in, like the keynote speaker pointed, it's not always an individual contributor wins. The collective effort makes a turn, and that gives a productive outcome, the optimized outcome which is required. So team is like together each we achieve more. Again, for them, the personal interest in transformation is, I go for result. If you come with me, I mind. If you're not, I don't mind. You can be there. Come with me if you can. I can take with you. Like I can take you with me. But if you're not, stay there. I'm running, and I will not reduce my pace for you. So he's like a Usain Bolt. He runs, but he don't care about the other runners. I can make a lap distance, but he need to change, bring everybody together. So it's not a race. So you need to understand that. Again, for the transformation approach, they confront the organization. If you look at Viking, max of 5 years or max of 6 years in an organization. They make a change, they make an impact and move from the organization. Though they are not liked by most of the people, saying that they are perfectionists, they are rigid, whatever, the Vikings are the one who would be there in an organization, prove with results and move on. If you see 5 years or 6 years of their tenure, they just showcase the result and then move on from the organization. That's excellent trait that you can learn from them, but I have put it in threat because it's a threat posted to them because they are not going to change that. And again, sometimes like they go very fast. If you're not going to follow my rate of speech, you would listen to nothing what I'm going to present here. The same way, they don't care about anything. They go at a machine gun level. It's AK-47 loaded, and it goes all at a sudden and stops only when the bullets are over. And they don't even mind whether the purpose is met or not. It's fast-paced one. If you come or not, I don't mind it. So that is a major threat for such people. If you look at certain people in your organization where the change management people, the organization change management, HR, the other people in general, they will follow to be a Viking in your organization. They will come, they will just prove that there is a change happened in your organization, move on. Typically, Agile coaches also been certain part of Viking here because they give you the result and then move on. Next slide. Okay, mediator. Mediator is quite interesting, right? So because you have two people, I'm the central median. I tend to arbitrate every time. I tend to bring collaboration. I also like adopt with anyone's vision. You come up with a vision, I tend to, okay, I'll listen to you. And when anybody comes with a vision, I just collectively bring you together, talk to you both, and then say, okay, I agree with both of you. Let's make a vision together. So this mediator is very effective. they tend to find a plus or minus. When I say pros and cons from the vision of everybody, tend to create a new one. So when we say tend to create new one, it's like, it's not your thought, it's not his thought, it's our thought. So they know how to maintain harmony in a team, and that's why they are very known, like they don't go for conflicts. You will never find a conflict levels of conflict with them at any point in time. They know how to manage conflict even if that arises. They tend to know, okay, this is the level of conflict we knew. They will never have any levels of conflict with them. They tend to always maintain a harmony with anybody else. Even if a Viking goes and shout, he will know how to manage them. He will tend to say, okay, let's discuss and let's come to a harmony. And he knows that how to tackle those kind of people with their sweet words, maybe with the choice of words and the attitude. And they say, like, let's discuss and then move on. It's like common consensus. They call you for consensus. Okay, you find something wrong on me? Okay, let's sit and discuss. Let's bring consensus towards a team and then go. Like when there is an activity which I have planned for last 10 minutes, we will find what are all the traits which is visible from you people. It's like a self-organizing activity. It will just like expose what kind of trait you possess the most. And the other part, like they conduct dialogue rather than a monologue. They want to just tell, and then like if he is there, I would talk to him, and then like I'll stop at a moment. I'll make you speak more by asking open-ended question. I'll not say, you have lunch? Yes, no? And then like I stop. It's a closed-ended question where you don't have any other option to say yes or no, and not more than that. If you speak, that's a different note. But if I make to have an open-ended question, it makes the other person to speak and know more about them. They are the one who induces a conversation and wait, so that the other person talks for hours, and then you can get to grab everything from them, and then like you come to a harmony with them. And that's the important trait from them. For them, the other part is like they are very flexible and they adapt to any situation in an organization. And if you have any kind of organization structure, they can well fit in an organization structure. So at any point in time, every organization loves to have mediator in an organization, right? Because any conflicts you yourself will solve. There won't be a need of HR. There won't be a need of a manager, or there won't be a need of arbitration, because there is an arbitrator already present in your team. In the same way, they are very clear. They just like go for collaboration for all. They will not take credit. Like as artists are very clear about their own applause and stuff, right? Their own rewards. Evangelist is like, hey, I want to be, assume that I'm important. Viking says I'm power and I want result. These guys, they don't care about anything. They come up, they will be part of your team, they will work. They are not bad workers, or they are not lazy people, but they will work. They are smart workers, but the problem is they will not take the credit of their work. They will say, come, let's work. Even if you say good enough, he will say it's all the team effort. So it means that anything that they fail, it's also a safer side for them. It's a psychological safe environment for them as well. You would say any failure, it's all our effort. So you don't get souped out of it, because it's a collective effort. So not only for the negative sense, but they also put them on a positive front. If anything that is successful, they would still say that like, come on, it's a team effort. This kind of humanitarian note that they hold has just raised them to a higher par in an organization, because they are very well collaborative. They never ever tend to create a conflict spark within an organization. So you will not have anybody to have a conflict. They tend to resolve anything within a team. So any conflict in a team, they are there. So if you are raising up any activity, like when we do, you will see a mediator there, and we will have examples. Let's move on to the next one, or like we will have to go with the threads, right? Okay. For them, the personal interest is like they want to make everybody happy in an organization. You cannot have that, right? You cannot make everybody happy in an organization. They have their own personal connects. They have their own personal problems. What they tend to create is that the environment around them should always be happy. You can make others happy for a minute, but not always. So that's one threat which these kind of people will foresee. they will have a problem. When someone is sad or someone like aggravate and tend to show the anger towards them, they will not be into conflict, they will tend to create harmony, but that fails and it forces them on their self-respect. So that's something which they need to work on. And I would say like they are like, they go with anybody and then like tend to have a emotional connect, which is not required. And at part, like you tend to have a mediator, you tend to have friendship with everybody, it's not possible. Someone would like your conversation, someone would not like your appearance at all. They tend to avoid you. But at times, like you cannot make everybody come and talk to you, and that kind of things has been mostly expected from mediator. They tend to, everybody wants to talk to them, which is a threat. And if that, both the cases, their personal interest and the transformation approach doesn't have in sync, then they will try to move on. They will not stay in your organization. And let's move on to the next slide. And the next type is professor. How many of you train your people in an organization? Like if you are like a developer who logically tells what needs to be done, or training certain framework, method, anything, communication skill, whatever, they are professors. Okay, the professor's part is very interesting. Highly knowledgeable in the field. When I say knowledgeable, more than the evangelist. If he is the go-to person for anything that is expected. I would say that this part of professor is very interesting. Viking is also well known for knowledge and stuff. He knows the root cause very easily. But anything that is known, if it's an unknown for you, the known person in the organization is a professor. It's a go-getter. You go to him, hey, this is my problem, and can you teach me? I don't understand what it is. He will be a perfect teacher who exactly shares the knowledge. So he's a knowledge transitioner in the organization. And again, their point is in like, they do crave for personal growth. If you are not treating professors well, professors switch over for the different college. In a similar way, it happens for the organizations as well. Professors didn't seek about team growth. They only focus on their growth. I'm the one who is teaching everybody. Why am I not being promoted? Why am I not being given interest? Or I need the next thing to learn. I'm teaching something today, version 1.0. I need an upgrade. You need to work on my growth so that I can work for organization's growth. Bit selfish, but fair enough. Their strength is like they observe very well and they are highly analytical. They say like, this many members I have trained. You've got X or Y ROI. Why not you give me another course where I can get 10x from the ROI? They speak with numbers. And they're very good professors as well. They teach the leaders as well, so they are good teachers. They know how to get that personal development done. Again, they like to just make everything simple and solve the complex problems and make it simple. So those are all the strength of professors. I would say they have a very good intelligence in terms of asking questions to others. So with the way I ask the questions, you tend to spark and get an answer for your question that you come up with. So that's the way how professors work. And they generally don't do anything for self, it's purely coaching. They ask question, they coach. You all of a sudden, okay, this is a $1 million question that prompts me a lot, and I just got an answer for this today. And you will have that aha moment, which you would tend to make with professors always. And that's where they are very strengthened in an organization, because they know how to question you and then make you think of your solutions on your own, not like evangelist, totally opposite. Again, weakness for them is like, they tend to like create their own, they just like do not work on any teams. They tend to create their own team, but that own team is also not going to be a team anymore. They would say, let's be a group of professors, but they don't like anybody else. They would say, this is my profession, this is the topic that I teach. You don't come inside this boundary, this is what is the level. Same as Viking, the trait, but the only thing that it differs is you get the trait completely different in terms of the approach that how they seek each individual. I'll question them and then just triggers the answer, but you will feel my presence when I'm out of the organization. There was one coach who gave me the aha moment, but he's not here in the organization. You will feel that moment when the professor is out. Again, for him, like he is like, he don't even thought of, they are like went into complete coaching, and they just like forget the other moments. They purely look at coaching part of it. So that's the only weakness which we have. But you cannot expect anything beyond that. Like if you want to just like ask anything else, they would say the coach part. I would ask you only questions, but where you should gain your own answers out of it. But they will make you do that, but you might have to think, so there are certain levels where you would seek for subject matter experts, right? You will tend to see that is something which is missing on them. And again, for them, it's like they prefer everybody, like they just like want to be important to others as well, like how you felt evangelist as well, right? They just like felt that my presence should be needed. No one will think that we are important unless and until we produce an outcome in an organization. So the professors will give the right outcomes at every point in time, but at times they do have the inferior complex, saying that okay, I'm not being felt valued, or they are not focusing on my personal growth, and they are not giving me a career growth here. So should I spend here, or should I look for an alternate? And for them, alternate comes into their focus right away. And for the opportunities, again, I would say like they would tend to appreciate and know that there is a diversified team members. There are other teachers as well who can teach something different from his line of business. Then he can collaborate with them, learn more and teach more. That attitude is something that he needs to course correct in terms. Again, for them, like people surprise, maybe they get surprised at them because like they have their own perspective. But when someone comes in and then gives their perspective, right, okay, they feel surprised. Okay, is that a way there? And they often like tend to stick with that, and they would say that okay, this is my approach. Okay, what about your approach? If they get surprised about it, they don't tend to change. If you are surprised with the other person's perspectives or his moves or his process, you might tend to change a bit. That flexibility is missing in this one. If in this trait, if they tend to tweak a bit, they are the wonder creators in an organization. Again, for them as well, together each achieve more. Just like that for the other traits, right? Viking has that trait. It's individual. I am on one individual. They have the same trait with Viking. They think that I'm an individual contributor, but together each achieve more works for them too. For their personal interest, I would say it is like you can have that like better thinking in terms of learning. So you say like I'm thinking this way. This is my course objective, and this is my learning, and you need to follow this. They don't accept to just get a revised agenda, or if it's a different style of thought, they don't accept. If it's a different school of thought, they tend to disagree with that. This is my agenda. If you want to listen, listen or go away. Where certain point in times it shows your attitude. People will not like that. Like when someone is like a subject matter expert in the same sense with a different school of thought, he need to pay for his ears and understand what is the pros and cons and then decide something. But that's the only trait professors are a bit rigid with. Again, they also have individual approach, as I said, which they need to tweak. And people get annoyed often because they don't tend, they need to interact individually and tend to create more conversations. If that is being done, professors make wonders. And for them, if you give a PAX, especially a certification sponsor, or if you give them a bonus amount where they can spend for their further learning, they will stick with your organization for a longer time. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is, again, it's a networker. You will find networker in any organization. And all organization craves for having a networker, because today people speak less. They tend to introduce, or they tend to talk to each other in a very lesser pace. When I say like it takes time, even when you see a new person, okay, a new person, it triggers their interest. So for them, the power is like they are energetic and they are very well, they tend to create a team harmony, same like mediator, but they involve everybody and they practice what they preach. Their weakness is nothing but they talk, but then like they just like don't become a part of the system. They tend to make everybody a networker, but they forget to become a part of the system. They say, okay, we all collaborate, and they will step out. And for them, it's like if they are effective, they want to just deal well with the people in terms like they want to become a part of the system and then tend to course correct it. For them, like the opportunity, when I see it's always necessary to build a relationship with the many members, but that will not work always. You cannot build a relationship with an organization. Same like the mediator. And for them, it's like they do want to approach in a business professional mechanism. They take highly unprofessional or informal stance when they come up with like creating a relationship within an organization. So the informal route will not be pleasant for certain people in an organization, which is a threat, opportunity for them to develop. Again, I'll see two things as a threat here. They always want everyone to be together to build everything. They don't want to build something individually, just like mediator. The thing that differentiate mediators and networkers follow an informal pattern and then tend to move on. But mediator follows an informal process, but then tend to be a part. But both of them don't take the recognition from the organization for the work they've done. And in the same way, they involve people, everybody, and then make sure that the change is guaranteed. So that's the one threat which we foresee. You cannot make that always possible. If there are a set of group of people, they can spoil the one and make a chaos in a system. So that's a threat we see from their transformation approach. They want to be together, they want to exchange ideas, and again, for them, connection and relationship in the organization with others is like more important. Move on to the last one. Yeah, this is the last slide which I have. Innovator. Innovator is someone who is very creative. You find them, they are very optimistic in any of the way that they have, and they love fun and creative activities within an organization, and they tend to have like good thinking out of the box, and anything that leads to creativity, that they make money out of it, and they are the repeat or the business prospects for the organization, where they tend to create more prospects. For them, the weakness is like they're not involved emotionally. They say this is something which I have innovated. Take it, work on. So they don't connect. They don't connect with everyone. But the point is like for them it's like easy to fit, but then like they want to just slightly make them away from the system. They want to always innovate, but forget about to connect. Slightly opposite from the mediator or the networker. For them, the outcome is more important. I would say like for them, it's like solution or idea for any situation. He will have it ready-made, just like evangelist. But he will think out of the box. The solution would be something fairly new. And for him, same as the professor, personal development is more important. I have innovated this. I have done this. What you are going to do to me? Bit selfish, but fair enough that they have done something. They have yielded a potential out of his creativity to the organization. He looks something as a return. And in the same way, they love fun, entertainment, learning, and everything. But they give substance only to the curiosity and creativity in the team. If you're not curious and creative, they don't tend to mind you. And again, for them, the transformational approach is like they are like bit playful. You cannot always expect playful way of transformation. There might be somewhere rigid steps where you need to be a part of. So with that, they will not be able to work on. I think I have 3 minutes more if I'm not wrong with your 5 minutes placard. Let me have a quick exercise. Maybe can we move on to the 7 coaches type of coaches with the zoo pictures? Quickly self-organize, and you can form a team on your own. There should be 7 teams. You can call out yourself as professor, mediator, or one. Quickly stand up and then say, group all 7 together. When I say all 7 together, if I see one table, they should be professors. You might have mix of traits. You might be artists, you might be evangelists, you might be professors. Mostly seen trait in you. What you foresee from here. Group up yourself and let's see what are all the traits we see within this room. Right? Do you understand the exercise? 7 tables. All the 7 traits are being given here. You have understood the plus, minus, whatever the opportunities or threats, your characteristics and needs, self-reflect and then self-organize. 7 table, where you guys are going to just organize yourself and show which trait is the most here within this room. Quick. No Viking. Suddenly get up and then say, hey, this is one, and I want you to follow.